There are literally dozens and dozens of brands that were once at the top of their game, only to fall from prominence. Some wash out, others bounce back. These are their stories. It was the rally call of the late 90s and early aughts. Gotta catch them all! The emotion that followed was 100% pure anticipation as kids in Japan, America, and nearly every country in between tore into packs of collectible cards and made the daily dash to their TV sets to watch the animated series, while the opening bars of the anthemic Pokémon song echoed the call. Gotta catch them all! Indeed, Ash Ketchum and the cast of the adorable Pocket Monsters captured the hearts, minds, and imaginations of fans worldwide. And in the twilight years of the 20th century, Pokémon mania swept the globe. But like most pop culture obsessions, Pokémon didn't stay in the spotlight indefinitely. And after a few years of dominating toy store aisles and airways, the brand appeared to have gone the way of a fellow 90s phenomenon, Beanie Babies, fading into the background. Just another collectible craze from a bygone era. But Pikachu and company had a plan.
I've been so lonely!
And 20 years after its debut, the brand exploded back onto the scene once again, earning the attention and adoration of old and new Poké fans across the planet. This is the story of how a collective of imaginary creatures won the world over, and then harnessed the power of a new platform to do it again, nearly 2 decades later. It was the early 90s in Japan. Satoshi Tajiri, who collected insects as a kid, had an idea for a game that would offer children in the cities the experience he had growing up in the country, chasing and capturing tiny, winged, creepy crawlies. Nintendo loved the idea and was game to give it the green light. The first versions of the Pokémon video game, Green and Red, were launched for the Game Boy in 1996. Blue version released soon after. These 3 games went on to sell a whopping 31 million copies worldwide. The first 102 Pokémon trading cards were published in Japan shortly after that, and the anime cartoon swiftly followed, premiering on Tokyo TV in April of 1997. Then the craze made it across the Pacific. In September of 1998, the cartoon premiered in the US. The video games made landfall, and Pokémon trading cards flooded the market, inspiring kids and adults alike to build and grow their own collection of creatures. From there, it wasn't long before the buzz reached the silver screen, and in 1999, the US release of the first Pokémon motion picture hit theaters, debuting at #1 at the box office on opening day. But the craze wasn't exclusive to the US and Japan. The obsession transcended cultures and borders. Pokémon cards have been produced in 10 languages and shipped to 74 countries, and more than 27.2 billion cards have been sold globally. The Pokémon video game series, meanwhile, went on to sell more than 260 million copies worldwide. In terms of popularity and longevity, the TV show is no exception. At one point, the program was airing in 169 countries, and the series is widely considered to be the most successful video game adaptation of all time, currently clocking in at over 1,000 episodes. While the massive numbers and nearly unparalleled pervasiveness of Poké products were inimitable, the momentum couldn't last forever. Although Pokémon managed to maintain its presence, consistently pumping out new products to a loyal fan base, in terms of true cultural relevance, the brand seemed to have run its course by the early aughts. New trends came and went. Smartphones, social media, and streaming platforms arrived on the scene, together offering limitless entertainment options. Some people lost interest, some just grew up. Pokémon had peaked, and aside from its literal card-carrying fans, the craze was over. That is, until a decade or so later, when the brand did the hokey pokey and turned itself around. We're talking, of course, about Pokémon Go. That's what it's all about. In July 2016, 2 decades after the debut of the original game, Pokémon Go was unleashed to the public, taking the world by digital storm. In less than a month, the app had been downloaded more than 100 million times, breaking records in the mobile game space as the fastest to earn $100 million and the most downloaded in the first month of release. But what made it so popular? First and foremost, game creators Pokémon and Niantic recognized the reality of life in 2016. people glued to their phones. An app was an obvious choice, but Pokémon Go wasn't just another mobile game. Rather than limiting Pokémon Go to the confines of the screen, the creators brought Pokémon into the real world, utilizing existing features of phones, such as GPS and cameras, and harnessing the powers of augmented reality, or AR, to create a game that melded the digital and physical worlds, and was accessible to anyone with a smartphone and a good data plan. For the majority of the public, this served as an introduction to AR, and the novelty of this exciting technology, combined with nostalgia, instant gratification, and the distinctly social element of the game, turned the mission of locating, capturing, training, and battling creatures into this unique and addictive gaming experience. Throughout the summer of 2016, millions of players around the world flocked to designated Pokémon gyms, located in parks, businesses, and even at the White House and Pentagon, in their cities and beyond, capturing monsters, connecting with other players, and even clocking the amount of steps they made in the process, earning Pokémon Go recognition for not just being an interactive game, but for being an active one as well. People loved it, and critics were on board as well. The game even earned the title Best Mobile Game at the Game Developers' Choice Awards, as well as Best App of the Year from TechCrunch. Fast forward to present day, and Pokémon Go has been downloaded over 1 billion times and has grossed over $3 billion in revenue. And while the initial Pokémon Go fervor has died down, as was inevitable, there is still a significant, dedicated collective of fans keeping the game alive. On October 2019, more than 3 years after the game's release, 150,000 players descended on New Taipei City for a 4-day Pokémon Go Safari Zone event. And in November, the game will host its first highly anticipated global ticketed event, offering players access to new elements of Pokémon and the promise of new creatures for only $8. So then, what's the lesson to learn from Pokémon's meteoric rise and how it managed to become a bona fide global phenomenon? Not once, but twice. The basics of Pokémon haven't changed. It's always been about catching, training, and battling pocket monsters. But the real Poké power has been in the evolution of its platform. By building on the loyalty and fandom of Pokémon's 90s rise and adding an impressive dose of technology and mobility, Pokémon revived its original concept with an innovative twist to delight original fans while winning over new ones. Whether you're a self-proclaimed Poképhile or you could care less, it's impossible to deny the power of the brand's unparalleled ability to unite people around the world. Despite differences in language, culture, politics, or belief, millions of humans, at some point, have been bonded by a shared mission and simple, singular focus to catch them all.
Gotta catch them all! Pokemon! Gotta catch them all! Gotta touch the walls! Pokemon! Pokemon!